If you're running Facebook ads, you might be asking yourself, how do I choose the right audience for my ads to be put in front of? And I got to be honest with you, what's working in 2022 didn't work before. So let me share with you an important update you need to be aware of. Hey guys, what's up? Yuri Elkaim here, CEO and founder of Healthpreneur. We help health professionals and coaches just like you get more clients and scale their businesses online without the grind and without having to resort to dancing videos on TikTok and Instagram, unless, of course, you love doing that stuff. So as you may or may not know, all of our clients run Facebook ads because that's the first step in our perfect client pipeline. And the reason we do that is because organic posting is dead. You post something on social media, no one sees it. That's just the way it works. So how do you get visibility? Because obscurity is the biggest danger to your business, other than your own blind spots. If no one knows you exist, no one can do business with you, right? So Facebook ads are massively important. Now, up until about, I would say, a year ago, Facebook was very much about granular targeting. And that was a really amazing benefit that the platform had, which was you could put your ads in front of very specific people who had very specific interests. So people who like Dr. Oz or Dr. Axe, or who have this specific affinity, like to the Diabetes Association, stuff like that. And what's happened in the past year, I don't know why, to be honest, it could be iOS 14.5, privacy issues, everyone trying to be politically correct and whatever. Facebook essentially doesn't want us to know a lot about their users. Right? So as an example, Facebook's primary objective is to create a good experience for their users. So their users are us, right? So if you saw an ad, let's say that you had type 2 diabetes and you saw an ad that said something to the effect of, it's been a while since you've had the diabetes, right? It's been a while and it's not feeling too good, is it? The person reading that message who has type 2 diabetes would be like, how on earth do you know I have diabetes? And that's what Facebook doesn't want to have happen, because that's a negative experience for their users. So personal attribution, stuff like that, where you're saying like, hey, you have this issue, I'm calling you out on that, is a big no-no on Facebook from a messaging perspective. But from a targeting perspective, although you could in the past target specific people who were interested or who liked specific pages like the American Diabetes Association or the Heart and Stroke Foundation, stuff like that, a lot of those interests have now gone away. So if you're running ads, you might see in your account this red ticker bar at the top that says, we've removed a lot of detailed audiences, and it's just like this constant warning that's always there. So what does that mean? Well, it means that if you don't know what you're doing, you're screwed, and a lot of people freak out about this. And I thought to myself, this is the best thing that has ever happened to advertising on Facebook, and I'll tell you why. When I started running ads many years ago, so I'm talking like I first started running my first ads on Facebook probably, I'd say 10 years ago, up until I'd say the last couple of years, the name of the game was create lots of ad sets. And each ad set was a very specific audience interest, right? So you had to manage all these different audiences and all these different ad sets, and it was a complexity nightmare. But the benefit now is that Facebook's algorithm has become so good that they're basically telling us, you don't need to do any of that stuff. We'll do it for you. And at first you're like, I can't target my people on Facebook. And that's what newbies say. And that's where newbies get upset. And they're like, Facebook advertising doesn't work. No. The thing you have to remember, guys, is if Facebook advertising if it doesn't work, I mean, you don't think Facebook would maybe not exist if it didn't work? We spend 6 figures a month on Facebook ads. They work. Our clients spend, some small amounts, some very large amounts on Facebook specifically. It works. What doesn't work is when you don't know what you're doing. And although I'm going to share this audience breakthrough on Facebook, you have to remember that your messaging is everything. And I've said this a million times, I'm going to say it again. If you think you're going to delegate your marketing to someone else, you are fucking crazy. And I'm not going to apologize for the F word. You're fucking crazy. Okay, I'm going to just say it like it is. You cannot delegate the most important piece of your business aside from delivery, which is your marketing, your messaging. You can't expect someone else, some random agency or VA, to write words that somehow encapsulate exactly what it is you're thinking and exactly what you know about your target audience in such a way that you could do a better job of just by practicing. So as I've said before, never, ever, ever delegate tasks that should otherwise be built as skills. And you have to build the skill of messaging. And if you don't, you will always, always have a business that is mediocre at best. And the sooner you come to terms with that, the sooner you can do something about it. If you want someone to do all the work for you, you will not get your business to the next level, especially if you're relatively early on in business. Down the road, maybe you can hire some people, do some stuff on your marketing. But it's this, I think one of the biggest pandemics in the health space is health professionals delegating their marketing because they don't want to do it. And it's no wonder that so many of them suffer in business. Okay. So I'm just going to say that your messaging is everything. Nothing else matters to the same degree that your messaging matters. It's everything. How often you post, the technicalities of how you set up your ads, that stuff is minor in comparison to the major impacts your messaging has on your business, right? And that's coming down to knowing your perfect client, knowing your audience, understanding what they're going through, and being able to connect with them in such a way where they feel understood by you. And then you have a solution where they're like, man, I need to know more about this. Okay. It's kind of in a nutshell that simple. In practice, a lot harder, right? So let's come back to Facebook. So essentially Facebook is moving away from very specific granular targeting into broad targeting. And if you are running Facebook ads, you might have seen this recommendation in your ads manager that says combine similar ad sets or audience fragmentation. And what Facebook is telling you is they're saying, hey, you're running a couple different audiences. Why don't you just put them together and let us do the stuff for you? i.e., let us find your people for you. And that's beautiful for the simplicity of running Facebook ads in 2022. So the thing you have to recognize at a high level with advertising on Facebook as it stands today is that it is no longer about granular focus. It is all about being as broad as possible. But you know what? I've been saying this since day one. The holy grail, if you find my videos from like 5 or 6 years ago, if you want to spend time trying to find this, the holy grail of advertising on Facebook is being able to go broad and allow your messaging to pull the right people in. And now Facebook is finally caught up with that, where they're saying, we recommend you target broad and allow your messaging to pull the right people in. And when we see those conversions take place, the algorithm that knows all will find more of those people. I hope that makes sense at a high level. So it's no longer about like very specific small audiences of 100,000 people or 1 million people. It's like broad audience. In some cases, when I say broad, guys, here's what I mean. You select your gender, women, men, both, age range, 30 to 60, whatever it is. No interests. So detailed targeting, none. Audience size, 150, 200, 250 million people. Now, back in the day, that'd be like, that's crazy. We're targeting 500,000 to 2 million people audience sizes. Now, it's recommended to be in the 200 million range in some cases. Now, we've actually, at first I was like, this sounds crazy. But I was like, let me test this out because it's something I've recommended to my clients for many years. And for us, I was like, well, we're helping health professionals who want to go online. It's a very niche vertical already. Is that going to make sense? Why would I put these types of ads in front of 250 million people? Lo and behold, some of our best ads are to broad audiences. So there aren't 250 million health professionals in North America. Okay. Why would we put ads in front of 250 million people? Because Facebook's algorithm is that good. Because what happens is Facebook is going to look at who is stopping to read the post, who is engaging with it, who is clicking, who is converting, who is going down the pipeline. And what the algorithm does is it finds more people like that. And then you can sit back and chill. And that's the beautiful piece about this. is that you don't have to worry about continually finding new audiences, because your audience could be 200 million people. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to focus on what is most important, as I just mentioned, which is your messaging. If your messaging is off, your ads will always suck. It doesn't matter about the targeting. You don't target the top 10% of income earners or people who travel business class because you think everyone else doesn't have disposable income. It's not about that. Okay, you'll pay a premium for stuff like that. It's about your messaging being able to repel the wrong people and bring the right people in. So that's the most important to always remember. It's not about the audience selection, it's about your messaging. But it is important to understand that in today's day and age, it is easier to advertise on Facebook because audience selection is less important than it was several years ago. Does that make sense? So my recommendation is, number one, if you don't know what you're doing on Facebook ads, please reach out to us because we're very good at this. And we're not an agency, which means that we don't take the skill set away from you. We show you how to do this and we coach you every step of the way. So you're always in full control of your business, and 10 years down the road, you'll still know how to do it. And if you guys watched my previous video a couple weeks ago about how we tripled our ad spend, reduced our cost per acquisition by 60%, how we did that is we fired the agency we were working with, and we had been working with 3 different agencies over 5 years. We took back control over our ad account, and the only reason I could do that is because I knew how to run Facebook ads the right way. And the results in 45 days were better than anything that was produced by some of the top agencies that we were paying more than $20,000 a month as a retainer for. That's a pretty important skill to have. And this is why I talk about, like, you can't just delegate your marketing to people who, like, yeah, we'll bring you leads. Great. Well, what happens when they stop doing that? You don't have a skill set to do that yourself. So anyways, yeah, so we work with you to help really master this skill because it's important. Like, you have to be able to build the skill. If you don't have the income you want, it's because you don't have the skill set to generate the income, right? The acquisition piece is just lacking. Okay. And like, it's important to be able to build that skill. Anyway, so let's go back to the basics here. Okay, so you're in your ads manager, and probably honestly I should show you my ads manager, but I'm too lazy to pull it up. So I'll just keep it like this if that's okay. 2 basic audiences I would recommend you start with. You have broad, which we talked about. Okay, so it's going to be men, women, whatever it is, age range, whatever that is, and no detailed targeting, no interest. Okay, so it's like, okay, 200 million people maybe, and location, Canada, US, whatever you want. That's the first audience you can run to your ads to. The second audience, actually, that would be the second audience. The first audience I would recommend is, to the best of your ability, thinking to yourself, where are my best people potentially hanging out? And this is a bit trickier now than it used to be. So before, you could target very specific interests, give you Dr. Axe, Dr. Perlmutter, a lot of those are just like gonzos, right? So now we have to take one step up from that and say, all right, let's say that you help people get in shape. Where are people, like, what stuff would people most likely be interested on Facebook in terms of getting in shape? Where might their interests lie on Facebook? And again, to keep it very easy for you, you don't have to go after Peloton. You don't have to target yoga. I mean, you certainly could, right? You could target Lululemon because they might buy athletic attire. I mean, all of my t-shirts are from Old Navy because they're $16 and they're friggin' better than $80 shirts at Lululemon. That's beside the point. I don't think we would think of targeting Old Navy for fitness people, right? Anyways, what I would recommend is, if you have a health and fitness offer, which most of you guys do, is your primary audience would be people who are interested in health and wellness. There's very broad categories like health and fitness, health and wellness, weightlifting, whatever. Choose a category that is relatively broad, but it's less broad than broad. So instead of 200 million people, it might be 60 million people. And now your ad is being shown to people who've said, I'm interested, let's just use weightlifting as an example. I'm interested in weightlifting. Therefore, your ad about, getting fit, etc., is shown to people who have expressed interest on Facebook about being interested in weightlifting. Now, we don't know if that's going to convert better than broad, but the thinking is they might be in that group of people. So we're kind of stacking the chips in our favor to some degree. And instead of going from one audience to another, just think logically about this. Let's say there's 60 million people in that audience. What is the likelihood that your perfect clients are not in there? I think the likelihood is zero, because you're going to tell me, Yuri, I've tried a couple ads and my clients are just not in that 60 million people. Really? Really? That's like going fishing in Lake Ontario and saying there's no fish here. I just can't find the fish. So I'm going to go to a different lake and fish there. And then you think another lake is going to have better fish? It might. But remember, 60 million people or 200 million people or even 10 million people is a very large audience. So what I recommend to our clients is you start with an audience where you think has the greatest likelihood of having your people, okay? Based on what they might be interested in. And you focus all of your attention there. And when I say all of your attention, I don't mean run one ad and it didn't work and you just Facebook advertising didn't work, or I'm going to try a different audience. No. You try 50 ads with multiple images and you'll find a couple that will win. Remember, you're not like 90% of your ads are not going to work. Just like 90% of your social posts suck, just like mine do, right? Most of them don't work. Some of them do. It's the same thing with advertising. It's a quantity game. It's not a quality. You get better quality with more quantity, but you have to play the percentages. If you launch 10 ads and one of them does well, that's one. If you launch 100 ads and 10 of them do well, that's 10 times as many ads that are doing well. And it's not that your audience doesn't have your people, it's just your messaging sucks. That's what it comes down to, right? So focus on your messaging, which is the best part about being able to advertise on Facebook now, is you don't have to worry about the audience detailed, granular interest targeting. You just say weightlifting or health and wellness or nothing. And you focus on your message, you put it out there. Facebook is going to start capturing the conversions and the data, and it's going to find more people like those people. And that is how you win in Facebook advertising world. Now, obviously, there's more nuances to that. But listen, whenever you're serious about getting big results, we can certainly help. As an example, I was just in our Facebook group, one of our new clients, a chiropractor, started working with us less than a month ago. He launched his pipeline. 8 hours later, enrolled his first client. 8 hours later, launching his pipeline, because he was able to run Facebook ads, which is ultimate leverage, brought in his first clients. The next day, he had 5 more calls booked. You think he's going to do okay, right? Guys, like you have to understand that everything you want is on the other side of just being able to know how to do this stuff properly. Every single person you could ever want to help in your lifetime is out there, but if they don't know you exist, you're not going to be able to help them. So if you want help finding those people, or more specifically them finding you, then just drop a comment below. We'll see if we're a good fit. We're looking for 3 things: expertise, confidence, and drive. If you have those, we can help you fill in the blanks. Whether you're starting or scaling, it's irrelevant to us. Some of our best clients started with nothing and they're doing millions. Some of our best clients started with something, they're doing millions. So it really doesn't matter, right? As long as you're an expert, you've got confidence, you've got drive, we can help you create some awesome stuff. If that's you, drop a comment below and let's have a little chat, see if we can serve you. Anyways, other than that, hopefully this video has been helpful for you. And let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you're on YouTube, you know what to do. Hit subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Ciao.